sports on your dial right now. They see stories every play, every time with Rob Browne breaking it all down. Yeah. SEC, Sideline Sports on my mind. Rob Browne calling game time, highlight shine, executive mind. Brendan Martin keeping Rob in line. Like, subscribe, share it, tell everyone. Sideline Sports, I'll come back real soon. Same place, same time, same tune.
Good morning. I am. What a weekend, man. Brendan,
Rob.
I just love this band. I get a lot of compliments. And I said, Brendan, and the boys in the garage down in DeLand, Florida. DeLand. It's delightful in DeLand. Have put this music together.
Capital D-E, capital L-A-N-D.
French, like a French name.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hey man, Rob Browne with you in Memphis, Brendan Martin in DeLand, Florida. Got a great one today. Get fired up. Monday's my favorite day of the week because a lot of people are lagging and I come out swinging. I've been up since 5:16, working out, trying to conquer the world. Cut some grass this morning on the farm. It's just going to be a great day, Brendan. You know who we got? Tom Cruise, Ellis Johnson, Coach Pete Cordelli. Both of them have won national championships as coaches. Been part of a lot of great teams. And Dave Bartu, CFBmatrix.com and hempforpros.com is going to join us. He's back from Hawaii. Look, do us a favor. Take a picture with your cell phone. We're streaming live, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and share it with all your friends, everyone you know. I have suddenly had this epiphany about Facebook because my wife rips me a new one in the morning and said, get on Facebook, get on Facebook. You know what? And I got a thing made at the leather shop up in Hardy this weekend. My favorite saying, sua sponte, Latin for of your own accord, because no one's going to come save you. But we're going to save you this morning with a lot of great football talking. Man, did we catch a lot of fishes up there in the Ozarks in Arkansas and Missouri. Got out there Friday morning, Dave Bartu. It was so foggy. It had rained up in Missouri in the Ozarks at the undisclosed location. And we had one of the guys had a stringer full of rainbow trout, and somehow it got loose. I think there was some road sodas involved in that, but we made up for it. Guys, there was a lot of football talk this morning, and I'll start, saying this. My Alabama friends I was with up there are concerned, and they're going, man, we may win 6-7 games. And I said on the show Friday with Tony Barnhart and Paul Wilson and Doug Dean, I think Alabama might win 7 or 8 games because the offensive line is a struggle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Dave Bartu set the tempo here and then throw it to Pete and then to Ellis. Dave, you've had some time in Hawaii to relax and do a lot of data work. And are you frozen, Dave? Can you hear me? Okay. I think he's frozen right now. But Pete, okay.
Some sort of connection issue.
Okay.
Let me try to reboot this thing.
Okay. Okay. Pete, the concern my Alabama friends have is the quarterback position. And I have two. I am. It's not like I'm talking to two doctors. I am. You guys have collectively coached over 70 years in college football, which is 70 years more than I have. So, Pete, let's talk about that Alabama quarterback position. We're going to bounce around the league fast-paced today. We got 16 kids. We love them all. And we're going to go outside the SEC wherever we want to go. But I'll start with you, Pete.
Well, the biggest thing is obviously Keelan Russell is the guy that's the most athletic that they're talking about. But the good news and the bad news, he's really athletic. The bad news, he's going to have to use that athleticism because the offensive line may not be able to protect him very well. A year ago, we were talking about the lack of a running game, and they became very one-dimensional. Ty Simpson went on to the NFL draft, but he was surely beat up. His body was bruised, battered, torn, and every other description you can make for a guy being drugged from pillar to post. But Keelan Russell can run away from that stuff, but guess what? He's going to run into some linebackers and some secondary guys that can light him up down the road as well. So they haven't addressed the number one issue, and that's the offensive line.
Yeah.
And now they're talking about the 2 freshman running backs that are going to come in, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Coach Bryant, remember him at Alabama? Yeah,
Yeah, I
that
remember
guy
him.
Bear. They used to call him the Bear. He always used to say, when you got to play young guys, man, you can't count on those dudes getting you wins now.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 freshman running backs behind that offensive line.
Yeah.
And you hope the defense can hold up, because eventually it's going to be like some of the stock market, the bubbles, they're going to burst.
Yeah.
I
Pete,
mean,
and I'm going to throw this.
the defense can only do so much. The offense has got to help them at some point, and I just don't see it happening right now. And it's here's what I'm going to say, Rob. With 9 conference games, we're going to have a conference implosion in the SEC.
Yeah.
And let me tell you what I'm predicting it, okay? The 3rd Saturday in October.
Yeah.
The Tennessee Alabama game to me, because it's the midpoint of the conference of the schedule.
Yeah.
We're going to have an SEC implosion that day.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you who's going to survive, and I can't tell you who's going to be just obliterated, but it's coming.
Well, and Dave, we were talking about Alabama's quarterback situation. Like I said, I was trout fishing for 4 days up in Missouri, and Arkansas. Alabama are concerned about quarterback. Tennessee fans are, and Josh Heupel win 9-game conference schedule. Throwing that at you. First off, good morning. And by the way, this stuff, folks, tell them this stuff is amazing. It is. I put it on some aches and bruises I get from wrecking on my mountain bike and banging into walls and stuff, and Audrey pulling me, hitting me. But it works. Tell them what it is. And first off, good morning. The band is back together. Robert Plant is back.
Good morning. Good morning. And it is it is a chilly morning here at
Chilly, get out of here.
Oh my gosh! I mean, it's like it's 60 degrees here right now, and the wind's blowing, and yeah, it is a odd July day or August day now.
Yeah.
But no, you're talking Alabama. That's what you're concerned about. And appreciate on the shout out on the ache and pain lotion for him for pros.com actually made that. In conjunction with NFL alumni and also for my mom. So my mom's got a lot of arthritis, a lot of aches and pains. So I know it's a football show, but a lot of people trust their moms too. So I made it for NFL alumni, but also to help my mom. So you know how it's made well.
Yes.
But you talk about Alabama, or you talk about any of the SEC stuff, and while I've been gone a couple weeks, that's kind of been the forefront of what everybody's been talking about, SEC wise, in terms of 9 conference games, and I've heard everything from everybody's going to be 6-6, and nobody's going to make the playoffs, and they're already tired from playing 9 games, even though they haven't even played a game. And strength of schedule is horrible, even though they haven't played a game.
Yeah.
And I just, man, the hand wringing and gnashing of teeth, from the SEC pulpit is, nauseating.
Yes.
Is that a good word?
Yes.
Nauseating.
It can only be relieved by this stuff.
Oh, well, something a lot stronger than that, brother.
Yeah.
Something a lot stronger than that.
Yes, sir. You damn right.
Maybe a lot of the main ingredient in that thing, but take it orally. But yeah, I don't. I can say I just don't understand it. No games played, and it's nothing has really changed in terms of the way I look at it. Strength of schedule is still a crappy metric for determining team quality, and it shouldn't be used. They should be using a better strength of record. That's easy.
Yep.
And I'm not now that I've been looking at the numbers, not in favor of expansion either. So let the season play out, see what happens. I think there's going to be a lot more 10-2 SEC teams. I'm going the other way. I think there's going to be more 10-2 teams, and I think they're going to have no problem getting their 5 into the playoffs.
Yeah, and Dave and Pete and Ellis and everybody watching. Best advice I used to get growing up, Henry B. used to work for our family, and my dad would get me out there early in the morning to work with him, and we'd have a bunch of stuff to do around the house, the yard, whatever. And Henry B. would say, Rob Jr., it ain't the doing in life that's so bad, it's the dreading. I'm with Dave. The whining and I embrace the toughest schedule. Maybe I'm crazy. I mean, I've done 80-something triathlons. I love a tough schedule. That would fire me up. Now, as a coach, Ellis Johnson and Pete, Ellis, when you talk to your team, you embraced it. You had success throughout your career because you didn't run the opposite way. You ran to the fight.
Well, you can always, if you win one against a great opponent, you can always use that as a confidence builder. But you got to win it first.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of go the other way with it to a degree because I've watched the physical part of it, what it does to a football team.
Yeah.
One of the things that's undervalued or underrated on a schedule is open dates and travel and what it does to you the next week. I was listening to Phil Steele was on some talk show this weekend and got to listen to him for about 30 minutes. But he was talking about, I think it was UVA and somebody, they were going to go play in Brazil.
NC State.
Yeah. And they called it off, thank God.
Yep.
They ought to incarcerate people who schedule those things. But it's just, he talked about the last 4 teams that did it, two that played each other 2 different years, and what it did to their seasons. And it affected all of them.
Yeah.
I think one of them was Iowa State, and one of them, I can't remember who it was, but it affected the first 2 or 3 games after they went down there, even going over to Europe to play as an NFL team. I just think those things are terrible. Coming off certain open dates, having extra time to prepare for a team, maybe get 3 key players healthy. You never know how those things are going to play out in a schedule, but they can be bigger than who you're getting ready to play.
Yeah.
There are good teams. There are stronger schedules. But when you really get down to it and you start playing them, there are no gimmies in that league. And if you go out there and play bad, you'll get your butt beat by anybody in that conference. On the other hand, if you prepare and have a great preparation, your team's healthy, and you play your best, you got a shot to beat anybody in that conference because you probably got athletes that can do it. So I tend to agree with you to a point. People grind on it too long, over and over and over. I don't know how much the 9th game is going to make it. I know Pete's made some great points about the 9 games with only 16 teams in the conference. And I never looked at it from that angle, but it makes sense that it wasn't a smart thing to do when you look at it from that angle.
Yeah. Pete, comment on that quickly and then back to Dave, but fear doesn't stop death. It stops life. All these people worrying is a waste of time. I mean, you just got to get after it. But he's talking about the physical beating and jet lag on those trips. I think it was Kansas State, coach, that was the other team.
Robbie, it's not fear. It's damn science.
Yeah.
This is right in Bar 2's wheelhouse. 16 teams, half is 8. I'm not a smart guy.
Yeah, you are.
But from my coaching standpoint, I know what it takes to win.
Yeah.
And when I see that I got 16 teams in my league, half is 8. Hello? Why are we adding another loss to the bottom half of the league? Nobody expected Vanderbilt the last 2 years to come out of nowhere and beat people's asses and go 10-2 last year. Nobody. Vanderbilt wasn't on that bingo card, man. And guess what? The SEC has a team like that every year. Every year somebody raises up, like Ellis said, and they win. It happens all over and those are the games we love. The underdog, the one that was counted out. And now In the Big Ten, you got 18 teams. 9-game conference schedule works. I got a question I got a question for you guys. Sankey came out last week and said we went to 9 games after years of searching it, researching it, and developing. And the TV networks have given us more money to go to 9. And I'm going, where's that figure, Greg? How much more money did you get from ESPN or whatever? Please tell us, because that's the first time I've heard Sankey say, going to a 9-game conference schedule, we got more money to do it. The other thing you have is 5 teams. You're going to go on the road 5 different times. That travel, like Ellis said, that's a whole nother ball game, man. And as physical as this league is, I'll say one thing. We're getting back to more physical brand of football all over. But the SEC, they may not win the game, but man, they're going to win the fight and win the battle. And it's how you survive November in this league. But again, why has Sankey not said how much more money they're getting for playing 9? All of a sudden, that's the big deal. Oh, yeah, well, we researched it for years. Yeah, you know what? Nick Saban came out in favor of it. And then all of a sudden, he started backtracking and going, hey, you know, I've rethought this whole thing. I don't know if that's the best thing for this league because we only have 16 teams. Nick was the first one to point it out. And if Nick Saban points it out, I think we better listen.
Yeah, I agree with you. Dave, looking at some of these comments, Rudy the Boxer, I love this guy. Minnesota would be a powerhouse in the SEC, eh? But he's talking about 10-2 Vanderbilt would be in the bottom in the Big Ten. And I know he's having fun, but let's look at, you talk strength of record, strength of schedule. And Brendan and I, we talk about it on shows every day with people. Got to get into that a little bit.
Well, your strength of schedule is not a resume tool. It to me, well, and it's a committee tool, but the committee only uses it when all else is equal. So I'm fine with that. If everything else that they're looking at, if they deem Ellis's resume versus Pete's resume is equal, let's go to strength of schedule. And strength of schedule, all it measures is the quality of the average of the 12 teams that you play. Strength of record is a resume tool. It's what you've actually done against the schedule. And that is extremely easy to measure and a highly transparent calculation, which I think all fans would appreciate right now, is a little more transparency that was promised at the beginning by Hancock and this playoff committee and the rules and the rankings. So with strength of record, it is basically comparing the teams. What did that team do with their record? So whether you have 8 conference games or 9 conference games, whether you play somebody tough in non-conference or not, you can take all of the numbers that are intertwined and be able to create a strength of record based on your performance against those teams. I created a very simple one. My strength of record, I just use Vegas closing lines.
Yeah.
Because the closing line is honest, because it has to win, right? You know, when Vegas puts out their numbers, they can't have an SEC or a Big Ten bias, because sharp people will pick them apart and make money. So I use the Vegas closing line because a lot of fans don't realize is that -3.5 indicates the number of times, the winning percentage that game should have if played 100 times. So it's easy to create. It's a resume tool, and I back tested it against all the playoff teams. It works. So one of 2 things that I say that needs to be done is the transparency and bring in strength of record, and show fans the calculations, and drop this strength of schedule facade, which has never existed. Never existed. I'm shocked to hear Pete talking about Greg saying we've researched this for years. Well, but didn't he ask the playoff committee to have a meeting about strength of schedule? Why would you make a change and then have a meeting? right?
Exactly.
You know, and so, and I've been on record for saying it for 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
Don't go to 9. Stay at 8. Even the Big Ten should have stayed at 8. I think they're all idiots for going to 9. You know, and personally as a fan, I'd rather have a 8 conference game, 2 Power 4 non-conference games. Then we'd have a real good idea who was any good, not this 9 and don't play anybody crap.
Yeah. Well, Ellis Johnson, if you play all the same teams, there's a funny statistic I'll throw at you. In 2019, early in the season, LSU won on the road in Austin against Hook'em Horn, Texas. Okay. Did you know that was the first time in LSU's vaunted history since 1892 they'd beaten a non-SEC opponent ranked in the top 10 on the road? That's that, Dave. You got it, and it got the dogs barking, Ellis Johnson.
Yeah, they're fired up.
Somebody's fixing to get mollywopped. But Ellis, that speaks volumes, doesn't it? How hard it is to win on the road. You know what? Alabama has a losing record against Oklahoma. It's like 3-5-1, and they have a losing record against Texas. It's 2-8-1. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and of course, if you play good teams on the road, it's going to be a little more difficult task. But my only thing about playing on the road is, like I said a while ago, it can affect the next game more than the game you're talking about. And the second thing is travel and food and lodging and all that. It's not the way it was 50 years ago. So those kind of things don't really take a toll on kids. But the final thing is noise. And when you're talking about SEC, you're probably talking 85 to over 100. And noise is a huge thing to handle in a pressure game, big-time game with kids. So there is something to it. As coaches, sometimes we like being on the road because at home, you got a bunch of distractions with recruiting and stuff and parents coming in and all that. So in some ways, you could kind of focus in on the game a little bit more when it was on the road. But yeah, travel's so good now, and lodging and food and all the logistics of it. It's not that hard to travel and play a football game. The noise is the biggest thing the kids have to handle.
Yeah. And Dave, looking like what Ellis and Peter are talking as coaches, and when you're on the sidelines, it can be eerily quiet, especially when things aren't going well in a game. It's almost haunting. And there's a lot going on, Dave. And for people watching, let's say we've got an athletic director or a coach watching or a university president, and he's going, this guy out in Oregon, by the way, Dave, it's 65 degrees here in Memphis today, which for us,
Nice.
we were on the Spring River and the undisclosed river up in Missouri, which we can't talk about because it's our new honey hole. But it was phenomenal. It was actually cold on the Spring River in Arkansas Saturday. It was like in the 70s, and we started off slow, and then, man, we started pounding them. And everybody said, what are y'all using? It's called TSW, the secret weapon. We're not telling you. But we all limited out. We own the river. I mean, but I got to ask you, if somebody's watching and they say, I want to hire Dave Bartoo, give them your elevator speech, because I will say this. You get your most growth in life when you're pushed out of your comfort zone. And damn, the three of y'all, I watch every one of these shows. You learn so much. It's amazing.
Well, just getting a hold of me, it's pretty easy to track me down. So especially for people listening, just hit me on my text line 971-217-8419. Be nice. And when you got a question or comment, and obviously on, something I've because I deal in data, I rarely get anything that is obtuse, and it's been fun interacting with fans, and because you never know who is actually listening out there.
Well,
your resume that you put up last week was excellent. We've got to get that to Richard Clark. Can you get your number to Richard Clark and have him contact?
Actually, you know that? Did you read that whole article? The research I did on strength of record, strength of schedule.
Sure did. It was
Yeah.
great.
That was for anybody listening. When Lane and Greg at the SEC Media Days were talking about strength of record, strength of schedule, I've been fighting it for a long time. Okay, and I've said it on the show a million times. Strength of schedule has nothing to do with the quality of a team. Zero.
Yeah.
But instead of fighting it, I went the other way and I said, okay, so I'm going to start creating my own strength of schedule, my own strength of record with all the data that I have and back test it for the last X number of years. And it was, I spent probably 7 straight days on it. I spent probably 8,000 miles in the air flying on it. I mean, it was on my computer 24/7. Every time I flipped up, I was working on that data. And Greg, and for those of you wondering, you just go to the website and read the whole article. It's free to everybody. But it's about 15 pages. But Greg is right and Greg is wrong. And Lane is right and Lane is wrong. And the committee is right almost the entire time. And the number one thing that I took away from it is expansion is stupid because now we're just bringing in crappier teams with the same problem. The problem is the 2 automatic bids at the end.
Right.
You get rid of those 2 and stay at 12, all the other problems go away. Florida State, they're in. 2 years ago, Alabama and Ole Miss and Indiana are in. Last year, the teams left out, Notre Dame, Texas, they're in. But we're giving those two spots away to teams that have declined so much in the NIL era, which data-wise, 2023 was the start of the true NIL era. That's where my data is now divided. Before 2023, different football teams. After 2023, we're not going to see those Cincinnatis ever again. And in my opinion. And so why should we be kidding ourselves by having a watered down version of teams at those levels? So, but I will tell you, I'd love to get it to Mr. Clark, and I'd love to be the first data guy on the committee to bring fans a little bit more transparency about what's going on. But I will tell you, the committee has that entire report and all the data that goes with it. I do know that for sure. Everybody on the committee has seen that report.
I will get that number for General Clark to you. I mean, that they need to be looking at it. And hey, what is? Oh my! Is that Squatch? Hey, by the way, so what is the cost? Let's say somebody's saying, "What do I need to pay Dave Bartu to come in and get started?" Because again, you look at the witness protection program, all these coaches that are paid to go away. It's not very much. It's a drop in the bucket for what and you get life-altering data.
Actually, most of the people that pay me are boosters.
There you go.
NIL money. NIL.
Well, no, it makes sense because to have my data team on retainer at $6,000 a year for any school. Okay. Wow. Rounding error. Boosters love paying it because they get all the information too. And I have found that people that are on the extraordinary end of money love to have more data than other people with extraordinary amounts of money.
Yeah.
And so the downside of the booster paying is now I'm on call for the booster. Booster has an idea, I'll get a text.
Well, now we know why we don't have coaches call-in shows anymore, because these boosters got Bartu's issues and they're calling in. Hey, Coach Johnson, we read this guy Bartu out there. Why did you do this? Bartu says do that.
Yeah.
Man.
In the not too long ago past, Auburn and Alabama, the football network broadcast on the radio, they used to have one offensive and one defensive coach would have to go on the show and take calls from the fans after the game. And they typically weren't people that were there. There were people that were confined to their basement, like that guy that lived in the basement in Silence of the Lambs. And they would call up, and those coaches would be like going, man, I'm getting PTSD. I can't take Jim from Pine Level, Alabama, who's severely liquored up, or slap, I remember Coach Dye's show. Some guys, he said, "Where you calling from?" Is on Dialing Die Thursday nights. He goes, "Slap Out, Pine Level, Alabama." And Coach Dye said, that's not too far from Slap Out, south of Montgomery. And I'm like, only a coach that recruits knows those towns. Ellis Johnson. Hey, I'm going to do this quick. I love Joe Cervetti. I love this guy. Him and his brother Lawrence. Of course, Lawrence Cervetti, Matei's Garage, 4930 Black Road in Memphis, open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m., 5 p.m. Incredible people, the Cervettis. Hey, it all starts today. Go Big Orange. You're right. And we're going to try to get to these. I love the viewers, and thank y'all. Share this show. And those of you listening, buy Pete Cordelli's book, support Ellis Johnson, and subscribe and order from Dave Bartu. Our sponsors, we're so blessed to have them, and our guests. So I want to ask Ellis, I know you got questions for Coach Bartu. I'll go ahead. Let's go to Ellis Johnson in Winsboro, South Carolina. Go ahead, Ellis.
I got more questions than I can fit in this thing, but I just try to keep my mouth shut and ears open when Dave's talking on here because I always pick up something. Mm-hmm. But y'all were talking about Alabama a while ago, and they didn't have a quarterback last year this time. Yeah. They kind of knew who it was going to be because he was the best one on the team, and the two they got battling right now. But they went into last year the same way. New quarterback, couldn't run the football. And at one time, they had the fiasco at open the season. And then they ran off about 8 in a row. At one time, they're sitting there ranked 5 or 6 in the nation. Yeah. Then they, fell on their face at the end of the season. Alabama was a damn good football team last year. Yeah. They beat themselves about 3 times. Yeah. And I don't know. I've heard both sides of it so much now in the last 3 or 4 weeks. I think they might end up being pretty good this year. Yeah. But we'll see.
I'm going to throw this at you. I'm thinking, and I prefaced it by saying Friday when Mr. College Football was on with us, Tony Barnhart, and I said, if the offensive line doesn't get better, 7 or 8 wins. But, last year they didn't have much of a line. They still won 11. And the quarterback situation, Ty Simpson, I don't think he had any starts. And Dave, now he's got 15 starts. He's going to the NFL. So that number under 25 to 30, it's hard to make it in the NFL. Pete, as a quarterback coach, you look around the SEC. I want to ask you, because Joe Cervetti, I know he wants to know this. He was at Mass yesterday praying that Tennessee finds a quarterback. You're not real high on the work ethic of George McIntyre Jr. the third.
Well, no, I had him. Again, I coached the Brentwood Academy in his junior year. Now, I believe the young man's matured since that time, and he's 6'6". He's going from 195 to 213, but he's been there longer than Faison Brandon. But Josh Heupel has run the quarterback run game package has to be in your offense. You have to make the defense play 11 on 11. You can't let them play 11 on 10. Not in today's college game. Faison Brandon, 6'3", 225. Won 2 state championships in high school. 37-1. Physical guy, can run the football. He can throw it. He's a threat to you on the outside. I just think that Faison Brandon is going to go into this camp, and with George McIntyre having a year lead on it and not being able to take the reins, that just signals to me that something's missing. George McIntyre was a 5-star quarterback as a junior. He dropped to a 4-star as a senior. Yeah. He hasn't done, it's just, when will the light go on? Ellis has been in many personnel meetings. Sometimes the light doesn't go on until they're a 5th-year senior. Yeah. But you know what? Hopefully the light will go on for George McIntyre. Don't know if it will. That offense at Tennessee hasn't been the same since Alex Skolish left. It's just, for whatever reasons. Yeah. And Josh Heupel knows what he's got to do. Now, I will say this. Tennessee, I think, will have the best offensive line in the SEC this year. Yeah. based on who they have coming back, their production from a year ago, and they may have the best, after Ole Miss, maybe the best running back tandem in the SEC. I think and with the wide splits that Tennessee makes you defend the width of the field from numbers to numbers before the ball snapped.
Yeah.
You get that defense to expand, there's going to be some running lanes in there for the run game.
Yeah.
And then in the pass game, I mean, they spread you out. They know where to throw it. And now you add the quarterback run package with Faison Brandon, which I don't believe George McIntyre can do on a consistent basis, that you got to win. The other thing is, I coached with Jim Knowles for 2 years at Western Michigan. I believe in the guy, believe in his package, believe in the players he brought with him from Penn State. He and Derek Jones coached together for a number of years. He brought 3 other guys from Penn State. So there's a continuity, there's an understanding. It's ridiculous what the NCAA did to Arian Carter. Are you kidding me? You're suspending a kid for a plane ticket he repaid for $430? Come on, man. NCAA, no clue at all.
Yeah.
And Arian Carter getting that's ridiculous. But
Well, what they're
I got to
doing is
believe that Tennessee may be the surprise team in the SEC, and part of it's going to be when Faison Brandon becomes the starter of that team.
all right. Let me say, Tennessee, the NCAA punishing Arian Carter, Dave Bartu, is like, how did the FBI finally nail Al Capone? Income tax evasion. They go for the low hanging fruit. Hey, want to say hello, James Flash Ludeman. Love this guy. Him and Jamie. I get to be on their show. Check it out. Sunday nights, 7 to 9 p.m. Central on the Zinger 100.9 classic rock radio station. That's FM, people. Sunday nights up in Shelbyville, Tennessee, in the mid-state. They got a great show. Really emphasize local sports and college, and I love those guys. It's so much fun. Dave, address this question. If Vandy wins more than 8 games, I'll be surprised. A young QB is never easy, but Vandy could be a sleeper pick too. We know what Vandy did last year, but it's this year. We know what Indiana did last year, but it's this year. Looking at data and trends in the SEC, do you see any surprises? Is there another team that could come out of nowhere like Vandy and go 10-2? Well, they had Pavia. They didn't really come out of nowhere.
Right. Well, with every surprise on the positive side, you have to have a surprise failure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going 10-2. And so when you go, okay, Vanderbilt at 9-3 in the top 25. Okay, cool. Who are they beating?
Yeah.
Right. Who is now going 9-3 instead of 10-2? Who is going 8-4 instead of 9-3? But when I look at Vanderbilt, I think it's very, very simple, and I think everybody's fading them for 2 specific reasons. One, their talent level in the SEC is still bottom quartile, right? Still bottom 25%.
Yeah.
And they lose Pavia, and it's easy to point the finger at Pavia because when Pavia showed up, they won a bunch of games. And when they didn't have him, they couldn't win any games.
Yeah.
And the other thing is Clark Lee had really, really good defenses at Notre Dame. Okay, I'm not an X's and O's guy. I'm just a guy on paper. But I'm willing to guess if Ellis and Pete watched any of the X's and O's of Clark Lee at Notre Dame, they'd say he's an awful damn good defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why you bring him to Vanderbilt. Well, Vanderbilt hasn't had a top 50 defense while he's been there. So a guy who's supposed to be good on defense hasn't produced a good defense and just lost his quarterback that has won 3/4 of all his games that he's won as a head coach. I'll fade Vanderbilt. But if I'm looking for a quarterback that maybe has excellent talent that nobody sees coming, like Pavia, let's go to the other side of the state over there with Ellis. The Gamecocks got a guy that's been pretty good, and they brought in a pretty good offensive coordinator that's had some success, a really good offensive line coach, and a really good running back coach. I don't think the schedule allows them to do it, but I think one of the unheralded quarterbacks that could pop could be South Carolina and Lenore Sellers.
Yeah. Ellis, we have Will Gunner from 107.5 The Game in Columbia. Love the guy, and keep him in your prayers. He's going to have a kidney transplant. He's on our show a lot. Love him. How many starts? Pete said last week 12 or 13 for Lenoris. Is that the number? I mean, okay.
12.
12.
Probably more than that.
I thought he had, yeah.
He got hurt. He hasn't played. He's been hurt the last 2 years. I was shocked by the number myself.
So that's a verifiable
I don't think he
number.
missed a game this past year. I think he had to come out of a couple. But
Yeah,
now the year before, he might have missed about 4 games, 5 games.
Yeah,
But
I'll go back.
if he has to run the football like a running back for them to win, he's going to get hurt. And he's not a great pocket guy. That's what Mike tried to help him with last year, and it just never got on track. Dave's got that cap on. I see it.
Let me see it, Dave.
One of my buddies out of good close friend from Atlanta is very involved in their what do they call that thing? Garnet something? Garnet Way?
Garnet Trust.
Garnet Trust. But we were talking about you the other day, and neither one of us said your name, and we both knew who we were talking about. But anyhow, he is a dangerous player. When you actually get down to his production and negative and positive, it's been a bumpy road. And, he's given away 3 games single-handedly. But I tell you, every snap, he's dangerous. He's got a lot of physical abilities that Cam Newton had.
Yeah.
Hey, Ellis, that's what a booster from South Carolina gets when he gets Bartu's information. The booster sends him a Carolina hat. So your guy knew who Bartu was because he's buying that information. I love it. Yes.
Well, I will tell you this, Dave, I want one of those. I'm going to get one of those hats. It's called Garnet Way. I'm going to put that on my set.
That's good looking.
That is a good looking hat. Remember last year or 2 years ago when Cole Kubelik was at a South Carolina game on the sideline? He found that good looking woman dressed up as a rooster. She was over there. I mean, it was Cole was like, she was going, she was having a ball. All right. Yeah. Hoosier Dave is in the house right now. I like Casey Goodjohn watching from up Lake Oneida up there north of Syracuse. I bet they might even have snow later this month up there. What they have last year, I think he said over 400 inches of snow, lake effect snow. That still counts, doesn't it, Bartu?
Yeah, it all counts.
All right, Casey is, of course, with Harmon Insurance. We sell Texas. He sponsors the Texas A&M Report. And in talking to Bertha Loreen, my wife, Miss Audrey, I love the name Miss Audrey. Hank Williams' wife was named Miss Audrey. Hank, let's talk about your daddy. Tell me I love that song, The Conversation with Waylon Jennings. But Dave Bartu, looking at big picture college football, Harmon Insurance Agency. Listen, if you want to buy hunting property in Texas, North Central, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Casey Goodjohn, 20-year Marine. Love this guy. He stopped by the Cherry Farm a couple of weeks ago on his way to Syracuse. What a great guy. And you ain't going to find anybody that'll work harder for you. He was also a Marine recruiter for 13 years. He quadrupled and septupled, which is 7 times his quota every year. He was that good and still is. Dave, looking big picture college football, Oregon. Now we know, because of Matt Dean on here, his son's out there as the GM. Will Stein's gone. Tosh Lupoy's gone. Kind of start from the West Coast and take us back. Texas Tech. That's another interesting program, but I got to get some Duck love. Duck season, 109 days away, if anybody's counting. But talk about West Coast to East Coast, because I love college football all over the country, and I want to go to Oregon, but it has become just a household name in the South now. It's not like it used to be. Everybody knows. You go back to Rich Brooks when he left, Mike Bellatti's 14 years, the smug, unhappy man, Chip Kelly, but 4 straight BCS bowls when he was there. Oregon they're not going away. They're like Gonzaga basketball.
No, they're not, and something they've been fortunate to have their most notable alumni also be the CEO and president of Nike, And so there has been an ungodly amount of money spent on the development of sports and the sports franchise at Oregon. But this is a this is a top 5 perennial recruiter, class signer. I don't know what there's got to be a better term for it right now, but we all know they have national championship talent on the roster. They got a returning quarterback. Most of their defense is back. But ultimately every single team has a big question mark. And for Oregon, unlike almost everybody in the top 10, they lost both their coordinators. They lost their offensive coordinator and they lost their defensive coordinator. And I talk on this show a lot about continuity and how important it is.
Yeah.
And it's important at both levels. You look at continuity in the NFL, and it has an impact. You can see it in the data. So with Oregon, my number one concern is the offensive coordinator. You got Drew Maringer coming in there. They're going next man up. I'm not the biggest fan of next man up, but I know a lot of head coaches got to give their guy who's been patiently waiting a shot. Programs like Oregon, I don't necessarily agree with that because you might have one shot at a national title and burning it on the next man up who earned it, who's never called plays before or has called plays, but very, very badly, like Maringer did at Rutgers, is a concern. So for Oregon, that's the number one thing I'm looking at is that offensive production with an offensive coordinator that doesn't have that championship level resume.
Yeah. Pete, and I see some of these comments. Rudy the Boxer, Oregon is the paper tiger without shoot. They're not. They are for real. Pete, what Dave just said, and I want to get Ellis's thoughts. You look at a team like Oregon, they played for the national championship twice, in 2010 against Auburn, in 2014 against Ohio State. And with Dan Lanning, they're just a perennial power. Since the CFP started in 2014, I think they're tied with Oklahoma for the 5th best record in college football. Ahead of them are teams like Notre Dame, Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama. So kind of expand on what he said. Love the questions and comments, people. Body snatcher is good recruiting team. I like that. Casey Goodjohn could recruit you to do about anything. That is a great guy. But Pete, kind of please expand, or as they say in the South, kindly expand on that. Where'd that come from?
Well, I got to go back to when Mario Cristobal went to Oregon and brought this in SEC mentality of being more physical. For years, the West Coast was always known for throwing the football and being more of a finesse team. And I'm going like, wait a minute, finesse? Have you watched Southern Cal run the football?
Yeah.
My God, they were as physical, and defensively they were pretty darn good.
Yeah.
But Mario Cristobal, I believe, bringing the mentality of recruiting offensive, defensive linemen and building your roster out from that. Then they started with the quarterbacks. Dan Lanning, Alabama, Georgia background. Again, we're carrying this on.
Yeah.
And the physicality of Oregon. And obviously with Dante Moore going back for another year, he definitely gives them a chance in every game. But I'm like Dave, first-year coordinators calling the game. I got to believe that Lanning's going to have a little bit more input on the defensive side than when Tosh was there to help this coordinator, through the first year. That's been my experience when I've been on a staff where a new coordinator comes in. The head coach usually spends a little bit more time with that side of the ball to get it going. But I like Oregon, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can live up to all of this preseason hype. But the concerns that Dave raises about both those guys are real.
Yeah.
This is the first time that defense has heard a different voice than Tosh's in a long time.
Yeah.
And on offense, you got Dante, and then you got Raiola, who's transferred in there. So your quarterback position is pretty good. And then the offensive line's pretty good.
Yeah.
I like Oregon's offensive line a lot. So they will always have speed. They got playmakers on the perimeter. They'll get them the ball quick, and then Dante can throw it and he can make plays with his feet. So this is a dangerous football team in Eugene, but how they react to this these coordinators is going to be a big key.
Yeah, and Dave, by the way, when I come out there, I want to knock out a mile on Hayward track. That campus, it's God. I've followed Oregon and Oregon State, where Ralph Miller was the winningest basketball coach in the Pac-12, Pac-10 at the time. He won 893 games, but he didn't win a national championship. But Ralph could coach his ass off. And then Dana Altman was at Oregon. Ellis Johnson. Let's bounce around here. Who's your Dave? This is, I'm trying to see, I can't see that 159. There should not be any rankings until after week 4 or 6. Tommy Tuberville has said that for years. We ought not to have rankings till about the middle of October, but they're there for hype. They're there for fun. We like them too, but there is extreme prejudice and bias toward certain teams, that puts them out there that sometimes don't need to be there. Agree or disagree?
Oh yeah. Anytime you got human polls, that's why I don't like the committee that picks for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think if you get a bunch of people in the room like Dave that understand data, understand statistics, can look at things and take the past and forecast the future to a reasonable degree, then you're going to end up with more consistent outcomes. And when they're meeting to set up the rules, it's like we said the other day, you still got the human beings in there that made up the rules. So what's the difference? Let's put them in and let them pick the teams.
Yeah.
Because when they're picking the teams are up there that are in the hunt.
Yeah.
And so the biases start coming out, or at least the look like it's a bias. So I say you get a bunch of smart people, set the rules. The rules don't change. You can't go in and talk rule number 3 into supporting his own conference. He's not in a conference.
Yeah.
The rules have been set by a group of people, and I think the BCS formula was too successful.
Yeah. Let me say, Eggman is watching right now up on the ridge in Crowley's Ridge, Arkansas. Go Bison. He sent me this hat. He goes, looks like I'm going to need to send one to Dave Bartu. So Dave, send me your address and I'll get you one of these hats if you'll wear it on the show. If Bartu's wearing your hat, it's a great hat. And I want to say Pierre Landash, best show in the South. Go Tigers. I was fishing with him all weekend. Frenchie from Baton Rouge. We had dinner Saturday night, boudin cornbread. Wow. With red pepper jelly on top of it. The recipe, it should be illegal. It's like reading, Playboy or something, but it's so incredible. And also Pierre Landash, big LSU fan. He is him and Bud Ritchie. Hire those two guys if you ever want to have a Cajun crawfish boil or a feast. And he watches this show. Love Pierre T. Landacci, as they call him. Let me throw something at you, Dave Bartu. When Indiana fans don't even think about Oregon, I mean, this is what we love about college football. Go back to November 6th, 1869, Rutgers 6, Princeton 4, the first football game played. And when we started declaring national champions, I've done the research. On average, about 4 schools every year will claim a national championship. 1964 is an example. Notre Dame claims it, Alabama claims it, and Arkansas claims it. That constant arguing is what makes college football different than the NFL. Dave, I love these comments from these people. The Midwest, the West Coast. I'm with Dave. I'm with Pete. Right? They were as physical as any SEC team. I still remember in 2003 when they came down to beat Auburn 23-0. My friend Mark Pera, offensive lineman, trying to deal with was it not Sayal, but it was Palomalo was playing for Southern Cal. Yeah, he said, I mean, I'm 6'5", 310. That guy, I felt like a walrus in a great white shark's mouth. I mean, it was a tough day. They play football on the West Coast.
On that team too.
Do what?
Junior was on that team too.
Yeah.
Sayal Palomalo. I mean, they had dudes now.
Yeah,
Ooh,
they
had some dudes.
and that's the thing that Ellis, you know this, and Pete. I mean, the West they play serious football out there, Dave. And so, all right, Dave, North Dakota State Bison for the Eggman. How long is it going to take them to get up there? They've got that big tranche of oil up there, the Bakken Trench up there. There's a lot of oil money up there, but they're going to be coming to the league. Can't go to the playoffs for a couple of years, but football around the country, it's serious everywhere you go. Why wouldn't a program like North Dakota State University, the Bison, hire you?
Oh, well, something. It's just the lack of continuity. They just want people in the building, right? Programs do not like people outside of their building. And so I think that's really the bottom line. It's just a level of trust. People want somebody that's working for them, not working with them. And now that some of these programs have data people inside, they don't like people auditing their data. They don't like people saying, hey, you may have done this wrong. Because most of the auditing we're doing now, we're finding about 37% of all the data is being looked at wrong, because all the data groups in the schools are simply just turning to AI without proper instruction. So most of it is just simply not having me or the team in the building working directly for them. But you were asking about the Bison, how long is it going to take? Look, that program has been a really, really good system for a long time. Craig Bowl, Matt Entz, etc. They're able to really, really put it together. But I also remember Kyle Whittingham when Utah came into the Pac-12, and he said, it's going to take a couple years for all of us to get up to speed of the whole conference and size of the whole conference. So I think it's a little bit different going from where they're at to their new conference. I don't think it's going to take more than a year of adjustment before they're winning a lot of football games at their new level.
Well, they're going to have a strength and conditioning coach and an egg coach, the Eggman, on the staff.
Hey, speaking of strength and conditioning, so it took me a while, but I was able to get the entire strength and conditioning staff of every NFL team going back to 2000. And so now I'm starting to piece it all together to see if there's any correlation between that strength and conditioning staff and guys moving around and the quality of the team.
I love it. Ellis?
I think you'll find something too.
I'm hoping. That's why I'm doing it, damn it. It's a lot of hours.
You will. I saw the Bison live and in person 2 seasons ago. They had some kids that could play for Clemson and South Carolina. The score, Murray was down. I mean, they're not a good football team right now, but I almost called the police and told them my son was being assaulted on the sideline. Whoa! It was brutal, man. I tell you, I saw there were kids out running around in their T-shirts throwing the ball around before they started warm-ups.
Yeah.
I assumed it was a bunch of offensive linemen out there. They love to have fun, touch the football. Yeah. It was their tight end group. And they had about 4 or 5 of them weighed 250 or more. And they lined up with 2 tight ends in the formation. First of all, nobody knew what that was. And I mean, it was a molly whop, big time.
Hey, we're about running out of time, guys. Unbelievable. Well, I believe it. I don't say the term unbelievable because I expect it. Y'all are so good. It makes you just appreciate and love and respect the job people do all over the country. Yeah, we're in the South, but we're connected. We don't live in an echo chamber. I love these comments. You're all welcome on this show. You're going to make your most growth, I think, when you're pushed out of your comfort zone. I think we would all agree with that. But hey, incredible. And follow this show, this channel. Executive producer Brendan Martin, off the charts. I love it. Hey, we're the most blessed people in the greatest country in the history of the world. Get out and support our sponsors like the great folks at LandersFordMemphis.com. Open every day of the week except Sunday. Ask for Brad Bellamy, the GM. They'll get you fixed up. And next Monday, Sidelines, we're a sponsor of the Touchdown Club in Memphis. I'm sponsoring Greg McElroy will be the speaker. And we're going to have fun with him eating some, I'm sure it'll be chicken, green beans, mashed potatoes, and sweet tea. It's the same meal every week, but it's a great group. See y'all tonight. Thank you. Good night, John Boy.